I have been consistently inconsistent when it came to that fitness goal because it was never a true priority. And I was never completely, truly committed to making that change. Consistency, it's what allows us to move forward, and it's what allows us to begin to grow and expand. It's that secret recipe that we need in order to keep things going forward. Ideas are great, but ideas without action are just a dream. Hi, thank you for joining yet another episode of Get Set with Lissette. This is where we have inspiring conversations that empower you to get set. Today, I want to discuss why consistency is a game changer in your life and the importance of it. As we've continued on this journey and as we've had a lot of conversations, I know that I'm constantly discussing what those takeaways are, ways to get things going. And as we've said, this platform is to empower you to get set. But one key element that is essential for success in any venture in your life, whether it's athletics, professional endeavors, personal goals, the game changer is consistency. So, the reason I wanted to have this conversation is because I've thought about areas in my own life where I've had great success, and then other areas where I haven't either hit the mark or it didn't go in my favor, or, I was unable to attain whatever said goal was. And I think that at times, while it's true, what's for you is for you. And I know that that's something that we always throw out there, and it's a very familiar phrase, like what's for me is for me, or God's plan, if you have like more of a religious belief or spiritual belief, like all of those things are true. And yet at times I feel like they're excuses. We tend to say if something doesn't work out, then it's either protection or confirmation that that wasn't something that we were supposed to do. And as you do personal work and as you continue to develop yourself, you'll learn to distinguish between the two, because two truths can be true. You can be being protected. It may not be something that was necessarily for you, but on the flip side, it could also be that you are not consistent enough. I know that's hard to hear, and I know it hurts and it may sting a little, but that is a reality. At times, things don't work out, not just because it's not for you or because, you were being protected from, but they don't work out because you didn't do the work or you weren't consistent in it. And so I say all that to say, in love, because I'm always here to inspire and empower you guys, consistency is a game changer. So, like I always do, let's create some context behind that. So, I started with what is the definition and what does consistency really mean? Well, Merriam-Webster says that the word consistency means harmony of conduct or practice with profession. So, to me, I was like, okay, harmony. What does that what does that look like? So the idea of harmony is doing something that's happening in a good space or place. So I just kept doing more research and I looked into the origin. And so the origin and meaning of the word consistency, and this is where it gets interesting, is the word consistency comes from the Latin word consistencia, threw my Spanish flavor in there, which means state of being in agreement or harmony. This word also can go into consistir, which is actually the verb form of consistencia, and that means to stand together or to stop falsehood. So, what does that mean? It means to do something together. It means to be in harmony. So, if you have this idea or if you have this new thing you're doing, the art of consistency is to work through it, to stay within harmony and to continue to go forward. Spoiler alert, it is not perfection. Consistency has nothing to do with the concept of perfection. And again, I share that because I was a person who I am. I can't even say that I was. I am a person who still tends to overthink, overanalyze, and want things to be perfect. However, as I've continued to do work in self and as I've started to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, I have also found holes in my thought process. I have found points where whether it was fear, lack of, or just flat out not doing the work that I really needed to do for these ideas, things didn't go. Things didn't get started. And it's important for me to share that little tidbit of vulnerability with you because a lot of us are guilty of that. We think that what we're doing is protecting the idea, protecting the whatever the big thing is that we want to do, and we don't want to do anything until it's perfect. But the reality is that progress over perfection is important. Taking the first steps into doing something allows the ability for movement to happen. And consistency is the harmony of continually doing just a little bit every single day to keep things going forward. That is the game changer. That is the ingredient in the recipe that allows you to move and take steps into forward movement and forward direction. Because if you don't take a step, right, first and just start, then there's no movement at all. But it is in the consistency. It's not perfect, but I'm consistently doing things that allows for you to actually start to see progression, that allows you to actually start to advance into your dreams, into that business idea you've got going on, into personal changes health wise, whether it's diet or working out. We're not asking you to be a professional trainer, but we're asking you to begin to try. And it is in the consistency of trying on a regular basis where change and growth will occur. So let's continue. How can one actually do that? Well, before even how, what is the importance of it? So, small daily actions matter more than those really big efforts. And the reason why those small daily actions matter more is because they are more attainable. They are things that are also measurable, right? And it is something that allows you the ability to push through and push forward. You can't expect to do everything at once. What is the saying? They say, how's the best way to eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's the same idea of this very thing. It's the concept of you can't tackle the big thing, but if you're consistent in small things, change will happen. You'll actually accomplish said goal. So, those small habits create massive long term results. And so, how does one go through that? How can you actually start to create this? I I know that mindset shifts are hard. And so telling an individual to just do something is way easier than the actual thing to go about it. So again, I in considering this idea and really wanting to have this conversation because again, I it's more self-reflective. There's nothing that I'm ever going to share with you that I've never done myself. I started to look into when have I shown up? What was my mentality in the moments where I actually started to really understand the importance of consistency? How does one go about it? And that led me to, and let's talk about it, the difference between different points of feelings. So motivation, right, is a feeling. Motivation is something that we get when we get excited about a new project, when we get a great idea, when something happens. We may feel motivated to finally take step, to finally push through or to take that first action, right? The problem with motivation though is that motivation is the spark. It's what gets you excited to start something, right? It's fueled by emotions and in it, it can actually be inconsistent. And so, if you're waiting to be motivated to allow you to start to do something to create consistency, then there lies the problem. Because motivation in of itself is an emotion, and the emotion is inconsistent, which will lead you to not being continual in the things that you've got going on. Emotions, feelings are fickle, and they will change on a regular basis. And so that feeling that you're waiting to feel will keep you from doing the things that you need to do. The art is in the discipline. Discipline, that is actually the engine. Discipline is what keeps you going even when the motivation actually fades. Discipline is built on habits, on this concept of consistency, and on commitment to said goal. And so when you start to shift into considering yourself to be just disciplined and committed into something, that will be when the progress will actually occur. You see, the bottom line in all of this is that motivation is what gets you started, but the discipline is what keeps you going. And the consistency, the harmony, right? Consistency is that beautiful harmony in the actions, are the small actionable steps that you take every single day. So then, when we think of that, I wanted to provide again also context. And so let's reframe this idea of consistency. So, one way to look at that is the 2190 rule. I know we've all heard versions of it, but I think it's actually a really interesting topic or idea, not even topic. It's just a really interesting rule. So, the 2190 rule is the idea that, and we've all heard it, it takes 21 days to create a new habit. So, if you do something consistently for 21 days, that will create a new habit. It takes 90 days to make that habit become your lifestyle. So if you stick with something for 90 days, that habit becomes a lifestyle, which then becomes something that is ingrained in your daily routine. Creating these small daily goals, let's start with the 21 days to create a habit, and doing things consistently every day leads to that new thing. Taking that and accomplishing those 21 days and then going further and allowing it to be those extra days and consistently moving forward will allow for your lifestyle to change. And doing that allows for real movement and real progress to go forward. So now let's try to create this in real time context. Let me try to break this down in honest ways. So in 2020, the world shut down, right? In that year, because I could not go anywhere, I had really taken a hard look and decided that I was going to focus on health and fitness for myself. At one point, I was literally doing two a days when it came to workouts. I was extremely committed, and I had broken it out into a habit. I went through those 21 days. Then things started to open up again. And when things opened, I would shift my schedule, and I started to actually go out or, meet with individuals and be out and about again. And in doing that, I did not create a lifestyle change. So what ended up happening is that I have been consistently inconsistent with my fitness journey because I never broke those days necessary. Like I would 6 a.m. workouts. I did 6 a.m. workouts for literally 15 days, clocked. 15 days, I clocked it. On day 16, I missed the gym. I overslept. I can't even remember. I just know that I didn't make it. On day 17, I went back and I did go. But on day 18, 19, and 20, I didn't go. And I had excuses on reasons why, because I had an appointment, because I had this going on, because I had that going on. I cre I went from consistent 15 days straight. The minute it broke, it was so much easier for me to create rationalization in my own mind as to why it wasn't happening, as to why I was unable to do these different things, as to why something didn't work out. And I then had to start from scratch again. And I feel like I have been consistently inconsistent when it came to that fitness goal because it was never a true priority. And I was never completely, truly committed to making that change. And that is where all of this ties together. Consistency and the idea of it for me is that broad idea that I wanted to talk about because it's what allows us to move forward and it's what allows us to begin to grow and expand and create that progress that we're talking about. It's that secret recipe that we need in order to keep things going forward. Ideas are great, but ideas without action are just a dream. Making things happen inconsistently will create for you to continue to just get your gears going over and over and over again. And it nothing else, what it's gonna do is it's gonna actually frustrate you, and it's going to make you upset, and it's also gonna create if you're trying to protect self and protect if you're not the kind of person that wants to have hard looks at self, you'll start to input those other, "Well, it's just not for me," or "It's not the right timing," or "God's timing is perfect," and we'll start to actually make excuses. Or if you're the kind of person that is really hard on yourself, then it's gonna create for you to actually get down and upset and either self-sabotage or self-loathe and then start to have even worse ideas of self where what you're going to start doing now is thinking that you're unworthy or that you're not, and that's where imposter syndrome and all these other things start to creep in when the reality is that what you needed is to just be consistent in small steps every day. And not only be consistent in them, let's actually clock the idea that we also need to celebrate those small wins. Celebrate the fact that when you do start doing something and you do start making that progress, celebrate that. Celebrate the fact that you're able to make these things happen and then it will snowball into a much bigger win. So now we're going to talk on how we can actually okay. So, like we said, progress, not perfection. And now let's talk about real key ways to actually implement those things. So, like I've said many times on this concept, you have a great idea. The best way to break down said idea is to break it down into smaller actionable items. Break those small actionable items into daily tasks that you're able to do, and then celebrate the ability of actually maintaining and being consistent with those daily tasks. So, how do you then handle setbacks? How are you supposed to handle being off track without guilt or without completely giving up? The best way to handle those setbacks is to ground yourself, to take it for what it is. Like I had said, take it for what it is. Day 15, I was doing great consistently through. Day 16, I didn't. What I should have done is on day 16, okay, I didn't make it today. It's a setback. This is what happened. But if I'm truly committed to this gym goal, well, this working out goal, and I'm truly committed into fitness, day 17 is my day to restart. It's my day to begin again. It's the day to keep going forward. Catch yourself in the moments of setbacks. Call yourself out, recognize that setback, and get back on to doing whatever it is and restart that consistent thing. Like we've said, 21 days to create a habit, 90 days for that habit to become your lifestyle. And when setbacks occur, start the clock again. It is okay to continue to start. How many individuals do we know that have consistently just restarted, right? Apple and Steve Jobs, right? He did things and had ideas and then did them over and over and over again before Apple was a hit. Jeff Bezos, I mean, the man didn't make it really big until he was 40 plus years old. Like, there's so many individuals. Thomas Edison, he had created ideas for that light bulb multiple times and actually had so many different versions of before it actually was a hit, but he maintained that consistency. And you can continue to look back in history on great people in our times and great things that have been done, and the reasons why those things actually were accomplished has nothing to just do with the great idea. Yes, that part is great and they were brilliant, but it's the consistency of continuing to show up and try and try and try again until they got it. Progress over perfection. So, here's just a few key steps on ways to actually live a life of consistency. First thing that I will say is gain clarity on whatever it is that you're trying to do. Like I said, you need to have a plan, yes, and you need to know what said plan is. You also need to be clear on what you're trying to accomplish and what the vision is in it. Break down that concept and be as detailed as possible with your plan and your idea so that you've got those small, bite sized, actionable items that you can do on a regular basis to maintain consistency. And if there are holes in your plan, take time to go even further into it then so that it is a small, actionable item and that you are able to begin to push through those concepts and that idea. Once you have that clarity and you are clear on your path, clear on the goal, and clear on real life action that you can start today, remind yourself progress over perfection and take those steps. In doing those steps, another point that I will throw out there is simplicity. Be simple with those ideas or that action. Start small and simple. Don't overcomplicate what you're trying to accomplish or the process that you're trying to do. Make it easier on yourself. Then ensure that whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish, that you are committed to making it. Consistency is one ingredient in the recipe of true discipline. Commitment, in my opinion, goes hand in hand with that consistency because you have to ensure that this is something that you're truly committed to doing it. It is in that commitment that real change will occur and that you will be able to maintain that consistency in those small actual items. Because if you're not committed to the grand idea, committed to the business venture, committed to the lifestyle change, then everything that I'm saying is going to go to the wayside because you're going to have setbacks. That's just a reality. And if you're not committed to the end goal, that consistency will be harder for you to be able to jump back in it. So, ensuring that this is something that you're committed to is another key point to ensuring your ability to be consistent and to make progress. Another point that I would say to make this real life is to track your progress. Watch what it is that you're accomplishing. Like I said, celebrate the small wins. Track where it is that you're headed. and what's going on, and that will allow you to feel a sense of accomplishment and a sense of achievement that on the days where motivation is lacking, which, like we've said, discipline over motivation because it is just an emotion. However, on the days where that motivation isn't there, the ability to look at where you've come and the tracking the progress of what you've already accomplished will allow for you to be disciplined enough and consistent on continuing to push through, even on the days that motivation is not there. And the last point that I would say when it comes to that concept is, as far as like real life ways to track things, is accountability. Find a mentor or an accountability partner, whether it's in your community, in your friend group, or system of work, or whatever it is that you're doing. If it's a fitness goal, find someone that you see at the gym at the times that you're going there, and make that relationship. Ensure that you've got that accountability partner. So, like I said, whether it's a mentor or a friend, or just ensure that whoever it is that you choose to be your accountability partner, that it is somebody that is going to in love hold you accountable. That it's going to be someone that accountability hurts and it's not comfortable. And if your accountability partner is someone who's like, oh, it's okay, don't worry, it's fine, then they're not holding you accountable. And then you're both not being consistent or committed into whatever it is you guys have agreed to hold each other accountable for. So make sure that the person that you choose as your accountability partner, that it is someone that's going to literally hold you to whatever it is that you're destined and committed to doing, that they're going to stay true to that. In fact, maybe it should be someone that you're a little bit scared of. And when I say scared, I don't mean scared from a point of like legitimate fear, but rather someone that you're afraid to disappoint. Someone that means enough to you that if you're actually having this conversation and you're putting yourself out there to say, hey, this is what it is that I want to accomplish, and this is my plan, and I'm very clear with it, and I've committed myself to accomplishing X, and I'm really hoping that you will hold me accountable in this plan and in this venture that I've got going on. Try to find someone that you really want to make proud. Or someone, like I said, that if it's not that you necessarily want to make you proud, you want them to be proud of you, that it's someone that you're afraid of enough that you don't want to disappoint. And it is the little tidbit of fear of disappointing them that will keep you pushing forward through the setbacks, through the moments of lackluster emotion, through the not feeling motivation. It'll be solely discipline, and that I really want to make sure that I can tell X person that I'm doing this, that those things happen. So that's like real life, very simple ways to begin to try and create this idea of consistency. Why do I bring it up? For a lot of reasons. The reality is that, like I said, it's an area that I personally have struggled with. And as I continue to work on self and I've continued to develop a stronger self idea of being, should I say, like a stronger sense of who I am, a firmer grasp on where I want to go and what I want to accomplish. And honestly, like I said, holding myself true to areas where I've lacked consistency, areas where I've achieved what I wanted, and seeing and recognizing that it is in that consistency that gave all the kudos, and that's where change really occurred. And also seeing where I'm headed. I'm saying here to all of you that I too need to ensure that I'm consistent in my own personal journey, in creating the community that I continue to say that I want to create. I need to be consistent in being the change I want to see in the world. And I wanted to ensure that I imparted something of importance and yet not too big of an idea that it feels unattainable or like I'm nowhere near that. You could be someone who like, I'm struggling to get out of bed. How, and if I give you something that's too big or too great, then you feel like, let it go. No, but consistency, that is something that in its idea is fairly simple and yet probably the hardest thing to accomplish. And there lies the reason for the conversation. Because if you find something that means enough to you that you want to really genuinely and truly make it greater, the game changer is consistency. And how you are consistent and show up is through these things that we've talked about. The being clear, the setting attainable goals, the breaking it down and making it simple for yourself so you can do it every day, the being committed, the holding yourself accountable. All of those things together allow for your path to be clear, not easier, but clear, and consistency every single day, and choosing to show up for yourself every single day will be what allows you to go from not doing something to getting to the day of saying, wow, remember back when? That was really a crazy journey. That was a crazy ride. And here we are today. So, my hope for you is that whatever it is that's in your heart, or the ideas that you have in your mind and the things that you're trying to accomplish, ha- however little, small, or grandeur that they may be, that you find an opportunity to create exactly what we discussed and start to be consistent on your journey every single day. And if you're not consistent in anything else, be consistent in showing up for yourself, because you are the greatest project that you're working on in this life. So, key takeaways for today. First key takeaway is what I started saying. Consistency is a game changer. It is what keeps you from doing to not doing. My second key takeaway is the idea of the difference between motivation and discipline. Remembering that motivation is just the emotion, right? It's the spark that gets you going, but it is in discipline that keeps you actually doing whatever it is. So that's my second one, remembering the difference between motivation and discipline. My third key takeaway is, in order to be consistent, make a clear, concise, simple, everyday, obtainable goal that allows you to take bite-sized movements to create progress. And my final key takeaway is exactly what I said. If you are not consistent in anything else in life, be consistent in showing up for you every single day, because you matter and you are the best and greatest project that you will ever work on while here on this earth. So as always, guys, sending light, sending love. Bye.